government or not. A lot of conspiracy theories out there. And as we get into this AI-driven world, the inputs that go into that and how that's programmed is going to affect how a lot of decisions can become made. How do we ensure that the people that are creating these AI interfaces and algorithms don't be evil? How do we...
But if they work for Google, they'll be fine.
How do we define what evil is, and how do we get or factors that are more difficult to calculate, things that compassion and problems that are going on in the world, how do we program that into the intelligence?
So I was careful when I talked about this to talk about tangible problems as opposed to creative problems and problems of political science and the kind of debates that people really want to have. Right? I'm not suggesting that we're going to have an AI system that can accurately forecast what will happen in the American presidential election. There's a lot of reasons to not make that forecast, but the simplest one is that there's not enough elections. Right? The way these systems work is they're essentially pattern matching. And they're pattern matching over a very large amount of data. So remember I used my example of a self-driving car. So how many cars do you have to drive for how many miles before you learn all the rules about driving? Well, we've driven 500,000 miles or something in our systems, and we're still working on perfecting it. So there's a great deal of data collection in order to make these systems, quote, intelligent in the way that we're describing. On the privacy side, that data is getting collected. There's all sorts of reasons to think it won't be used against you. Starting with, it's against the law. Second, it's very difficult to get to the data. Third, if you ask the computer how to learn something, it can't explain it was from you, right? Because it doesn't know that. And the fourth thing is that it's not in the interest of the vendors that are building it to do it. So usually when people talk about privacy, they're much more concerned about personal privacy, loss of passwords, those kinds of things. And there the answer is to use modern computer systems that are secure, using two-factor authentication, those kinds of things. And then you also asked about the government. Each country will come up with different laws about this boundary of your personal privacy versus the police state's ability to take that information away from you. I suspect this audience, based on the sort of genesis of it, is probably pretty libertarian on that view. I can tell you that if you go to Britain, for example, a fine democracy, every single one of you would agree that it's okay for the police to look at it. And if you go to Germany, another fine democracy, everyone would say it's a bad idea. So you have three examples: the U.S., which is confused on this question, Britain, which is clear, right? The U.S. is confused, Britain is clear, and Germany is clear. Three very, very well-established democracies, all of which disagree on such a fundamental question. It's fair to say that of the 200 countries, you're all going to see differing answers to this question.